I find it very considerate that you arrived on time today. And if I'm being honest, I must confess, I do find it rather flattering that you didn't need any special convincing to arrive today. I suppose you do have a point. After all, who would be foolish enough to decline such a generous invitation to an afternoon tea? Especially an afternoon tea that will be catered by none other than Sebastian Michaelis himself. You know me rather well, don't you? Yes, I've asked him to make all manner of sweets for us to enjoy along with our beverages, don't worry. Why are you looking at me that way, darling? What way? You're looking at me as if you're suspicious that I've done something, as if you're wondering what my true intentions are for inviting you here. I assure you I merely invited you so that I could spend some time with you. You know perfectly well just how much that means to me. You know perfectly well just how important you are to me. And you know, more than anyone else, to what lengths I will go just to have you on my doorstep. So why are you giving me that look? Like you suspect that I have some other reason for inviting you over. You're worried? And why ever would you be worried, my darling? Have I done something to make you worried? I've done something in the past. And what might that be? Oh, I see. You're afraid that I might have threatened someone or hurt someone to keep them from interfering with our plans. I assure you, though I do tend to use violent means to reach an end when I'm working, I do my best to avoid using such extraordinary measures when it comes to protecting our arrangements. Although, if someone ever tried to hurt you, I can assure you, their heart would cease to beat before long. Why did you shudder when I said that? Should that not be a comforting thought? It was the way I said it. As if I was threatening you? I apologize, darling. I truly do. After all, I don't want to hurt you. That is truly the last thing I ever want to do to you. Although, I will admit... Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look when I haven't finished what I was saying. I will admit, if hurting you was the only way to keep you safe or to help you in some way, it would feel as though a knife were piercing my heart, but I'd do it. I would do anything to keep you alive and safe. Do you understand me? And though I hope it would never come to something like that, if I had to hurt you, for instance, if you were injured and you and I were all alone, I would feel no severe regret if I tried to tend to your wound myself. After all, suppose you had a large gash on your leg. Suppose it were bleeding profusely. I would not hesitate to rip off my coat, tear it to pieces, and tie a makeshift bandage or tourniquet around your leg to keep you from losing all of your blood. All right? That is all I mean by that. I would only ever cause you pain if it would keep you alive. For others, though, I would cause them pain if they attempted to cause you pain. And if they did so intentionally, especially, I would make sure they regretted ever taking a breath when they were first brought into this world. I would make sure of that. Because you know just how much you mean to me. You know just how important you are to me. You know that if something were to happen to you, I would have nothing. So if anyone ever makes something bad happen to you, if anyone ever injures you or tries to cause you harm, I would not hesitate to make them miserable. I'm sorry. I know that's the tone of voice you don't like me to use. My apologies. Let's carry on with our tea, shall we? And perhaps we should discuss more pleasant things, don't you think? Yes, you think that would be a good idea? Well, for instance, I do believe that Sebastian is preparing something rather special for us today. Really, he is. I asked him to truly amaze us today, and whenever he does that, he tends to come up with something very creative and very unique. Indeed, I do often wonder how a demon came to possess such astounding knowledge of human food, especially since he has no taste for the stuff. I beg your pardon? Yes, I did say that Sebastian is making something special, something to, quote, amaze us. Why do you ask? What's the occasion? Does there always need to be an occasion? You think that I always need an occasion to be celebratory. As I've said, you've come to know me rather well, haven't you, darling? There is something that I've been wanting to discuss with you, and I do believe that now is the time to do it. After all, we were going to discuss more pleasant topics, weren't we? And this one, you're really going to be happy, believe me. I understand that your family hasn't had the most fortune when it comes to financial stability, and I don't mean to imply that I think any less of you because of that. I simply mean to say that it's something I've noticed, and that is why I tend to invite you over rather often, why I don't ask to visit you instead. I would prefer that you live in the lap of luxury whenever you can, so to speak, and this place, well, this is as close as you're going to get aside from going to the palace. But no matter how often I invite you over, you never stay. You always go back to your cold home, and I worry about you falling ill or getting so terribly cold in the middle of the night that you simply die. I worry that about your family too, of course. I know how much they mean to you. But I worry about you most of all. And I don't believe I even need to say why. Why do I bring this up? I recently approached your family and I offered them something. Do try to be a bit more patient, darling. I was trying to build dramatic tension. What I offered them was a rather handsome sum of money. However, I did wish for something in exchange, and I think you'll be rather happy with what I asked for. What did I ask for? As you know, I called off my engagement to Elizabeth rather recently. I'm afraid she just wasn't the right person for me. I'm afraid that her incessant joy and obsession with cute things and pink, sparkly things and bright colours, it was all just far too much for me to handle. Don't get me wrong, I could handle that. After all, I do own a toy-making company. I can handle cute, pink, sparkly things. What I couldn't handle was her obsession with it, and how she always had to shove everyone's face into the cuteness that she desired. So I called it off. Oh? You don't think that was the only reason I called it off? Well, you aren't completely wrong. Though publicly, I only admitted that I was calling it off because I didn't feel we were properly matched for each other. I said that I wanted her to be happy, but in truth, I want to be happy. And I want you to be happy. And I want your family to be happy. So I offered your family a very large sum of money, enough that they could buy a warmer, more spacious home, money that would allow them to regularly put food on the table, money that would allow them to live comfortably. All they had to do was allow me to have your hand in marriage. And do you know what they told me? They told me that they would make sure you agreed to it. And I have no doubt that they will follow through on their promise. So, are they going to need to convince you? Or do you think you'll want to stay with me indefinitely? Why didn't I ask you about this first? Well, I first approached your family, offering nothing. Nothing but my complete loyalty and love toward you. They were not compelled to allow me permission to ask for your hand in marriage. They thought that I was being ridiculous, that I was being childish, because parents are supposed to decide whom their child is engaged to. And they thought that I would break your heart or something along those lines. They thought that because I was the one deciding that I wanted to be with you, that I would not be a fit husband for you. So I decided to offer them a form of proof of my loyalty to you. I decided to offer them something that would be more tangible, but still holds the same weight as my love, my loyalty, and my adoration for you. I offered them all the money of mine that they could ever ask for. I offered them nearly everything that I have, and they accepted it. I would have come to you first, but if I had, I was afraid that your parents, I was afraid they wouldn't allow you to marry me if I'd gone to you first. And I'm sorry for that. I truly am. But think about the life that you and I could have together. Think about how happy I can make you. Think about everything you could gain from this. I can get you anything you want. You can go anywhere you want, as long as I can go with you to protect you, or at least send Sebastian to make sure no one tries to hurt you or take you from me. Just think about it, all right? I would like an answer before you leave, but I won't demand that you answer me right now. Although, I doubt your parents would be as patient as I am. After all, if they don't give you away to me, they're going to be stuck living as they are now. And they seemed very eager to leap from poverty into luxury. So I would advise you to think about what you want to avoid and what you're willing to deal with. Because if you want to avoid a family fight, you know that this is what's best for you. You know that even if they wouldn't argue with you, this is what's best for you. This is the only way I can keep you safe and comfortable. So think about that. And by the end of our tea time, you'd better be saying yes.